When World War II broke out, everything on Earth stopped.
Every child on the planet put their toys to the side and picked up a gun.
Movies, music, anything that wasn't part of the war machine was on hold, especially sports.
There would be a few leagues here and there that maintained some semblance of activity to boost morale, but with most able-bodied men called into service, this was very rare.
And on the largest international scale, there was nothing.
After the surging popularity of the Olympic Games throughout the 20s and 30s, the 1940 Olympic Games was set to be an all-timer. Unfortunately, they were postponed, then postponed again, and then canceled entirely. It was clear that this war would last years, not months, and that the violence would reach all corners of the world.
Well, almost all of them.
Throughout the war, about a dozen countries remained neutral for a variety of reasons.
Places like Ireland, Portugal, Bhutan, and Tibet remained mostly untouched by the violence of war.
And they had athletes who sat on the sidelines, hoping for a break in the fighting in time for the 1944 Olympic Games.
They knew that 1944 would be the only chance in their lifetime to rack up Olympic golds against the tired, depleted athletes of the traditional world powers.
But on June 17, 1942, the International Olympic Committee announced that the Olympics in London would not be happening. There was no 1944 Olympics.
Or was there?
Welcome back to A Closer Look. I'm Will Sinnott.
And I'm Nate Fisher.
World War II, the Great War, fought by the greatest men who ever lived.
It was an overnight success. You couldn't go anywhere without hearing about Pearl Harbor, the Battle of Midway, and the sick-ass war happening across the pond. Anybody who was anybody was in World War II.
This is Admiral Dominic Republico from the documentary Zippity-Doo, It's World War II.
This war was hip, it was snazzy. It wasn't your father's drabby little World War I. World War I. Everybody was laying down. A lot of gas, scary masks. World War II? It was the works. You go down to the base on 3rd Street, you got Jimmy Stewart there, Rita Hayworth's got her tits out, Louis Armstrong screaming into an oboe.
All of Hollywood was there. British Hollywood, Russian Hollywood, even Canadian Hollywood. Every Hollywood on Earth got down on the biggest party the 20th century had ever seen.
Late in 1942, the Americans opened up multiple global theaters of combat, battling the Germans in Operation Torch and the Japanese in the Island Hopping Campaign. Edward G. Robinson remembers those cool summer nights at Barracks 54, North Africa.
Oh yeah, that was a real swell shindig. There were people from all over, Burbank, West Hollywood, even some cats from New York. FDR was there. We were picking him up on the chair over and over like a Jewish wedding. One time Count Basie was emceeing a toga party and FDR got so drunk he did his party trick where he got up and ran around the room.
It was work all day, party all night for the whole U.S. Army. And they took that show on the road in 1943.
I remember one night we all piled into Chesty Puller's tank and cruised on down the strip to Italy. Soon as we got there, we saw girls coming out to meet us with champagne in both hands. When I saw that, I turned to Hank Ford and I said, "Hank, this world war is going global."
This scene was active. It was producing all kinds of timeless, provocative art.
We were at the wrap party for the Battle of Monte Cassino and I met Robert Towne there. He said, "Jack, I got an idea for a screenplay. It's called Chinatown, and I want you to play the lead." These are the kinds of conversations that were happening in World War II.
There's nothing worse than not getting invited to the party.
Other than getting invited, intentionally not going, only to find out later that it was the Project X-style party of a lifetime.
And that's how the handful of neutral countries felt watching the glitz and glamour of World War II happen from the sidelines.
With no war and no sports, as a country, what do? We spoke to the president of Finland during World War II to learn how the loss affected his country.
If this is your first time listening to A Closer Look, there's something you should know about how we conduct some of our interviews with witnesses and primary sources.
Me and Nate have the power to travel through time by using a machine called the Time Room.
Time rooms are a network of rooms that have been continually constructed throughout world history.
They're everywhere. Maybe you're sitting next to one right now. And me and Nate can go from one to the other whenever we need first-hand accounts for the stories we're doing.
They feature a glass partition and a telephone connected to the other side, like jail.
But sometimes we can leave the time rooms with something called a past pass, your pass to the past. So we can go walk around the past when we need to. We almost never interfere with the past unless it's funny or we stand to benefit immensely.
So first we will be traveling to Finland in 1942 to speak to Finnish Prime Minister Pekka Puig.
Hello, good evening, time travelers. Welcome to 1942.
So, President Puig, would you care to explain the reasoning behind your country's neutrality?
Oops, well, I have a little bit of a secret for you. We are not really neutral anymore.
Oh, really?
Yes, so we were really pissed about losing the Olympics, so we decided to just sort of invade somebody.
Get in the mix, so to speak.
Exactly.
While Finland never officially allied with the Nazis, they did fight the Soviet Union in a series of wintry battles along the Finnish-Soviet border.
We were trying to decide whether we were going to invade Russia or Germany. We have an abominable snowman that is our country's mascot, and we put a blindfold on him, spun him around, and told him to point. When he was done spinning, he was pointing towards Russia, so that's where we went. But we really neutral, I promise. We don't really have a reindeer in this fight. That's what we say instead of dog. Do you get it?
Uh-huh.
We got kind of bum roasted at the start, but once the Germans launched Operation Barbarossa, we saw a chance to get some land back.
Operation Barbossa, like the pirate?
No, Will, Barbarossa, like the Holy Roman Emperor.
Yes, correct, Will. Very good. You're the smart one, I think. Operation Barbarossa gave us the chance to do Operation Barbossa, where we used our mastery of the snow to build wind-powered wooden snowmobiles that were sailed to the Soviet line. But also we would attack from the big lake near Leningrad, and we built wooden cars that could also go on the water, and we called that part Operation Carcosa.
I'm
like
sorry,
the
you
realm
mean,
of the Yellow
chariots?
King?
Stop, it's going on right now, no spoilers. I don't want to know what happens.
Late in 1942, a year after the Finns got annihilated, the International Olympic Committee made plans for their first meeting since 1940.
This was a glum procession, since the only purpose of the meeting was to officially confirm that there would be no 1944 Olympics.
They were spread all over the world, and travel was pretty hard, so this probably could have been a conference call.
But they had some cash they'd embezzled from the 1940 Olympics fund, and so they rented out a pyramid.
The Great Pyramid of Giza hosted a 2-hour conference for the Olympic Committee where, surprisingly, there were disagreements.
I didn't even want them to do a meeting in the pyramid. I know I'm maybe more than the average person scared of ghosts and mummies and mummy, of course. But come on, we're really daring the spirits to do something. Troy Helenov was 22nd in command of the International Olympic Committee.
The scion of a minor English noble family, Troy Helenov had graduated bottom of his class at Oxford and spent the following 5 years bouncing around a series of cushy government jobs.
Not for lack of ambition. He wanted to be a politician, but the best his frail constitution could muster was a job on the IOC. They were really disrespectful to the inside of the pyramid. They were using the wall as a chalkboard, just sort of drawing over the hieroglyphics. They were jokingly doing lines of people's ashes. They all went and kissed the sarcophagus on the lips. And then after 90 minutes of really just dicking around, they said, "All right, no Olympics, right? Let's just spend the money on oysters and hoes and stuff for the next 4 years," and they all voted yes.
But Troy Helenov voted no, because he had an idea.
Maybe we could remind people how easy and fun life was before this war happened. So let's do the Olympics in the middle of the war. A neutral Olympics. All of the neutral countries on Earth meeting at a neutral site, showing those war countries how it's done. We could earn those oysters and hoes through our commitment to athletic excellence.
And they laughed him out of the tomb. The 21 members of the committee gave him an atomic wedgie and hopped on their stretch camel, that's a camel with 22 humps, and headed across the desert towards the Casbah, which they weren't sure what it was, for a weekend of fun.
Unfortunately, they ran smack dab into the Battle of El Alamein. The biggest tank battle up to that point in world history was not a good place for a bunch of unarmed drunk guys to be. The camel got away, but all 21 guys got obliterated.
But the Olympic Committee had 22 members. Troy Hellenov had stayed behind to buy a bunch of billowy Egypt-style clothes when suddenly he found himself the sole surviving member of the IOC. And so he took another one-man vote. Troy Hellenov's first order of business was to get the neutral countries to agree to participate in his Olympics. He figured if he could get the big-name countries in first, the smaller ones would fall in line.
One of the big countries that really wanted to be involved was Finland.
But Finland was roundly rejected by the new Olympic Committee for not being neutral enough.
We went back to late 1943 to see how Pekka Puig felt about this.
No, we're neutral, I promise. We're not in the Axis.
Yeah, but you fought Russia, who is at war with the Axis. You can see how one would get the idea.
We were bored. We would have fought anybody. And you gotta believe me, we didn't know how bad the Nazis and stuff were. They're bad. Like really bad.
Oh yeah, big time.
Anyway, we never signed anything. What's that there on your desk? Looks like a 2-year veteran minimum contract to join the Axis.
Oh, that! Oops.
You can't bail out of a contract by putting ink on it.
That's not ink, it's a tiny glass of black milk. Anyway, we're out. We are for sure neutral. So if you could put a good word in with the little cute British boy from the IOC, that would be awesome.
Sure, man.
2 days after the deaths of his coworkers, Troy Hellenov set out on a globe-spanning trip to meet up with all the neutral countries.
His first stop was in Ireland.
Ireland was definitely one of the largest and high-profile neutral countries in World War II.
The Irish were in a tough spot. Hey, when are they not? Having to choose between the Nazis or fighting alongside the disgusting, stupid-as-fuck British who made us eat blighted potatoes while they hoarded all the wheat we grew. There was plenty of wheat, but it all went to England.
Fuck you, SCO-ND! They certainly didn't want any part of an international conflict or international game, and they didn't want to hear it from me. Like, I get it, my uncle founded the Black and Tans, but that was like 18 years ago. Who even remembers back 18 years anyway? I don't remember any of my memories from my private school days. Huh. When the Irish Olympic team said no, Troy Hellenov looked down, sheepishly kicked a little dirt with his legs together, and said, "Gee, I might have to cancel these Olympics now that both you and the English said no."
All right, fuck it, we're in. What do they know about a good time? No, I don't need to talk to the president. We'll be there.
So Ireland was in. The next stop was 2 stops, over in Italy. I know what you're thinking. Italy is in the axis of evil.
The Axis.
That's what I said.
No, the Axis of Evil was made up in the 2000s to promote the war on terror.
No, but it was also in World War II. They're evil. They're the axis of evil.
They were the Axis. They called themselves the Axis. They wouldn't have called themselves the Axis of Evil.
Right, but wouldn't we have called them the axis of evil? I mean, could somebody have called them the axis of evil at that point?
Yeah, I guess
No
so.
further questions. Prosecution rests a few good men. Not a lot of people know this, but the Vatican is technically its own country.
And sure, the neutrality of the Pope was an implicit condoning of the Nazis and a world historical atrocity, but it did mean they had some athletes laying around. And the chance to see all their beautiful athletes prance and twist and jump around to the Vatican was a no-brainer.
And while Troy was there, he could head up the road to fellow microstate San Marino, an inexplicably small enclave of Italians within Italy.
We learned a lot about microstate beefs researching this documentary. It appears that a huge pillar of each microstate's very existence is predicated on hating a different microstate.
And San Marino's hatred of the Vatican was a little different than Ireland's hatred of England. When Troy told them that the Vatican was in the Neutral Olympics, the San Marinians wanted nothing to do with it.
After Troy left, we spoke to their best athletes, 2 twin bocce ball players. The Tinchy Winchy brothers were local celebrities, and they held major sway in the microstate.
Hey, what's going on? How you doing?
What's up, guys? In our research on you, it said that you two were identical twins.
We are. We look exactly the same. You should get your eyes checked.
They did look the same, but there was a huge height difference. 1 foot to be exact. One of them was 5'4", and the other was 4'4".
You boys are barking up the wrong tree. We ain't going nowhere where those fancy little cathos are. End of story.
It's honestly surprising to see Italians have so much enmity towards...
Whoa! Hold up. We are not Italian.
We are nothing like them. Oh, I am so mad. I need to go outside and have a cigarette and a really small ice cream cone.
When they came back inside the time room, they explained that their insistence they are not Italian stems from their religious beliefs.
The people of San Marino all uniformly followed the religion of Zoroastrianism. Apparently, San Marino has been a 1,000-year-long Zoroastrian enclave dating back to the Persian Empire when 300 was happening.
We're like the Vatican, but for Zoroastrianism. And basically, the Vatican are the emissaries of Angru Mainyu, the destructive spirit who does battle with Ahura Mazda.
We do basically the opposite of anything they do. See, Zoroaster hated Italians, and he told all San Marinians to act like we do too.
The Tinchy Winchies explained to us about how Zoroastrians had a complex cosmology of multiple deities and demigods imported from other faiths.
So in this mural, you can see here the white BMW that carries the sun across the sky. And the moon is over here in this black BMW. And over here, there's some other planets. Jupiter, Saturn, and they're sitting down with Zoroaster at the poker table. You got Jupiter, Saturn, Zoroaster, Pacino, Columbus, and us, we drew ourselves.
And you see the ring on Saturn here? What does it say on the ring?
Back-to-back-to-back world champion Yankees.
That is right, baby. 27 rings, the blessings of Mithra. That is what Zoroastrianism is all about.
They probably told you all about it up at the Vatican, right?
Well, actually, they didn't mention you guys at all.
Are you serious?
Yeah, you guys never came up.
That's so typical of them, all high and mighty, treating us like the little brother. All right, we're in on this Olympics thing. We're gonna kick their asses in the name of Ahura Mazda. And the other gods, Ahura BMW, Ahura Mazda MX-5, Acura Mazda, and etc.
When Troy Helenov came back to pitch them on the Olympics again, the Tinchy Winchy brothers told him with fear in their eyes about a nightmare where they were locked in a glass box with 2 pale, frail, dead-looking Slender Man types.
Slender, nice.
And they were in on the Olympics. Troy Helenov's next trip was to Portugal to meet Raimundo Quassa, the head of communications for the country, which means he was the guy who just sat next to the only working telephone.
We wanted to travel back to right after Troy's pitch to Portugal, but we got the date wrong and accidentally went back to 2 days before he got there.
Ah, 2 skinny ghosts.
This is
Again,
the best day
hell
of my
yes.
life. This is awesome.
What do you want?
You're Ray Quassa, yes?
Yes?
We just want to talk to you about the meeting you're about to have with Troy Helena from the International Olympic Committee.
Yes, I'm very confused. We already signed up for the Olympics.
Well, the Standard Olympics got canceled.
What? Why?
Because of World War II?
What war? What?
Yeah, the enormous global conflict that has been happening everywhere in the world for like 4 years.
Well, it happened 25 years ago. Get over it.
No, this is a different world war.
It's happening again?
Ray Quassa then ran down the hill to the village and woke everybody up from their 10 a.m. nap to tell them about what was happening.
30 minutes later, he returned with 4,000 or 5,000 villagers armed with mallets and rakes.
We explained the neutral Olympics to them, and they were in, and asked if it would be possible to bring 10 million people to the Olympics as long as they were very, very far away from where they were.
While this was happening, Troy Helenov secured the participation of Switzerland, and all the neutral countries of Europe were officially on board.
But in order to make this a real Olympics, he had to go worldwide.
I'd heard that Bhutan was proudly neutral. I don't know if they have any sports there, and I've never been to the Himalayas. But my house has a lot of stairs in it, so I'm no stranger to heights.
We hopped in the time room and headed down to the only time room in Bhutan, which is located a few thousand feet down from the south face of Jomolhari, which was 20,000 feet above sea level.
Oh!
Oh, that speck I thought was a hawk, that's Troy. He made it.
Troy, how you feeling, bud?
I legally died once. I almost died 4 other times.
With air travel from Switzerland out of the question, Troy had to stow away on several different ships.
He sailed down the Rhone River on a yacht that stopped at every vineyard near the river for casks of wine. It capsized.
Once in Marseille, Troy snuck past the Vichy French security forces and bribed his way onto an oil tanker bound for Athens.
The tanker made it just past Malta when the boat stopped off the coast of a small island to let a storm pass. Troy took a dinghy to the shore so he could suntan on some rocks.
He stripped down, oiled up, and splayed out, absent-mindedly singing as he tanned.
I believe I was singing my favorite English nursery rhyme, "One last pudding for the Crimean dead." Woo, in 1853!
The captain saw this and gunned it toward the island in mad lust. He hit a reef and the oil tanker sank.
Marooned on this island, Troy had to stand on the beach and sing to entice passing boats. After 10 other boats crashed, he put a paper bag over his head, and a boat was able to calmly come and collect him.
This was a Turkish boat bound for Istanbul. But not just any boat, it was the president of Turkey's boat, out on its yearly Cyclops hunt. That's just the kind of shit they got up to in the Mediterranean.
They returned home clopsless, but on the voyage home, Troy told Turkish President Chansina Marine about the neutral Olympics. Chansina Marine was hesitant to get involved in such a massive undertaking, so Troy had to get creative. He asked President Marine if his country had any beef with places like Chile or Switzerland.
Chansina said no. The Turks famously had no enemies, so Troy decided to tell a little white lie.
I told him that that's crazy, seeing all the shit that Switzerland was saying about you, that Cyclops aren't real, that the Turks made up Cyclops. You could say you were hunting them down so you could go boy fucking up and down the Mediterranean. Chansina Marine got furious and said they were not boy fucking, they were teaching the young men of the region the art of lovemaking. He then showed me how to tie a sailor's knot and said, "Did I fuck you?" I said, "No," and he said, "See?" I knew then that I had him.
By the time they disembarked, Turkey was on board.
But Troy still had 3 countries to get to, all along the Silk Road.
Hello, everyone. We have a tragic advertisement for you today.
If this is your first time listening to A Closer Look, you may not know about the most infamous character in our orbit, a legend from the early pop music scene who, within the last few years, sort of has shifted down and now just hangs out around us. He's like... Nate, how would you describe our relationship with Money McDonald's?
He's like our manic pixie grandfather.
Exactly. And he comes to you today with a plea for help.
Hello, everyone. My pet Lickitung Lickshift has unfortunately passed away due to a mysterious illness.
For those who don't know, Lickshift the Racing Lickitung is Money McDonald's pet Lickitung the Pokemon and an auto racing influencer.
If you want to learn more about this, listen on Patreon to episodes 16 and 17 of Season Infinity called The Assassination of $7. And then tell everyone you know to subscribe because me and Nate are sick and tired of working for Delta.
It just happened one morning. He was puking purple goo, which he always does, but then he just fell in such a way that his tongue was pointing at the basement, as if in his final moments he wanted to give me a clue as to how he perished. I went downstairs and looked for hours, but there was nothing out of the ordinary, Just my time crisis machines, my big giant open pile of peyote with big bites taken out of it, my time crisis 2 machines.
I'm sorry, you left a big pile of hardcore hallucinogenic drugs around what is functionally a giant 6-year-old?
Well, yeah, but peyote's harmless, baby. It comes from the earth, like magma.
So we thought you needed money for his medical bills.
No, this is for a party, baby. A celebration of life. Lickitung life. And also a sort of debutante ball to unveil my new Lickitung. It'll all be happening in my new vacation adobe. I stumbled upon a delicious slice of land pie here in San Cristobal, New Mexico.
Yes, Money, I noticed you're in an entirely turquoise room right now.
Yeah, baby, that is so quintessential New Mexico. My new favorite place.
What brought you to New Mexico, Money? I have a lot of opinions about.
Not the time.
Well, I was playing Interstate 40 Hands, my fraternity's game that combined the Cannonball Run with Edward 40 Hands. You have to drive the entire length of I-40 with 40s taped around your hands, and you can't take them off until you drink them and get to a motel.
That sounds incredibly dangerous.
It is. All of my pledge brothers who have done it are dead, except for me, because I drive at a snail's trail.
You mean a snail's pace?
What did I say?
Anyway, Lick Shift died. Are you not in trouble?
From who? The Pokemon police, dipshit? No, baby. I'm free as a bird that has $1 million. But not literally. I don't have $1 million on hand for this charity party. My money is tied up right now. In what, you ask?
No.
All my money is arranged in the shape of a lady that's tied up in my dungeon downstairs. It's a rich guy thing. You broke vanillas wouldn't get it.
With the last 30 seconds of this ad, would you like to please explain the charity fundraiser party?
It'll be a celebration of life for Lick Shift, as well as a chance for me to audition, select, and unveil my new pet Lickitung.
Uh-oh, Money, is that the police?
No, I believe that is the mating call of the southeastern yellow quail.
Money McDonald, you are under arrest for the murder of your pet Pokemon. You have the right to remain silent.
Oh no, boys, please call my attorney. His name is Robert Duvall. That's not a joke. He's real. He went to Clemson with me.
I imagine that will sort itself out.
Yeah, not worried at all. Back to the episode.
Hey, Closer Look Nation, it's Nate here. You just heard an ad with Money McDonald's. This season with our ads, we're trying something different. We know how much content consumers love advertisements and the advertisement experience, so the rest of this season's ads will be Patreon exclusives. And if you want your content ad-enriched, you can hear them by signing up for the A Closer Look Patreon. Go to patreon.com/acloserlook and hear these episodes the way they were meant to be heard. Well, this was supposed to be 3 minutes long, so I'm going to list off all the vice presidents I can remember. Spyro Agnew. Hannibal Hamlin, Charles Fairbanks, Elbridge Gerry. Low on funds and needing to cross thousands of miles of mountain ranges and vast deserts, Troy attempted to make a little scratch as a chess hustler.
I had to learn on the fly, but I was able to pick it up pretty quick. It turns out the human brain can retain a lot of information when under the constant presence of violent death.
Yeah, at this time, as it had been for 900 years, the Silk Road was a completely chess-based economy. You want some food? You gotta win at chess. You need a donkey? Chess. You want a place to sleep? You gotta beat the voluptuous maiden of the house who has been playing since she was 2 at chess.
After making a small fortune in Samarkand, Troy ran afoul of the Chess Assassins, a powerful organization of men who kill people with chess.
They beat me within an inch of my life with a chessboard, and then they put the chess pieces in between their fingers like people sometimes do with their car keys to fend off a sexual scoundrel, you know. And then they tied me to the back of a donkey and sent that donkey down the Silk Road, toward the mountains of Afghanistan.
The donkey refused to carry Troy over the Afghanistan border, and for good reason. As soon as Troy crossed the border, the donkey ran away, and Troy was mauled by an extremely vicious goat.
It beat me within an inch of my life with a crude trapezoid that I couldn't help but figure was a board for some kind of goat chess. Luckily, I was saved by a group of locals playing a very interesting sport. Have you ever heard of Gog Bobu?
Brother, have we? We play one-on-one in the backyard. Our horses Spy Game and Defive Bloods are always ready for Gog Bobu.
If you want to learn more about Gog Bobu, listen on our Patreon to episodes 14 and 15 titled The Boxing Match in Hell. And then tell everyone you know to subscribe, please. And then you need to subscribe. Me and Nate are so sick of working at the bank. So, after the goat carcass was thrown in the hole by the Afghani heroes, they transported Troy straight to the Prime Minister's mansion.
The Prime Minister was immediately in, although Troy might have told him a few more white lies.
He was obsessed with famous people from the West. Humphrey Bogart, the Three Stooges, Mae West. I was pretty dehydrated and sleepy, so I just told him, yeah, they'll be there, whatever.
So not only was Afghanistan in, they gave him a horse brigade escort through the Himalayas.
While in the Himalayas, I met some Tibetan monks. I spoke to their leaders, Zumhumulumanumulumanumulumonox and Jeremy, and they seemed very into the idea. Or at least I think they were. We just said for 5 minutes, and I gave them a 50, and they directed me towards Bhutan.
Troy could see us for a long time on the mountainside from afar, but Will and I had been farting to see if it would cause an avalanche, and it turns out we could. So Troy was buffeted and submerged by snow for an entire day.
And now he's here, and he's fine.
My toe fell off.
Big or pinky?
Middle.
Whoa, your foot looks like Spock.
Seconds later, we were happened upon by a group of Bhutanese men on skis.
And they were, not what we expected.
What's up, cheese sticks? Enjoying this fresh pow?
My name is Troy Helenov. I'm here to invite your country to take part in the 1944 Olympics.
About fucking time. I'm John Garuden Warrensap, and I'm the best skier and probably other snow sports guy in the world.
You guys sound pretty excited.
Of fucking course we are, Chotch. We're fucking sick athletes. Have been for hundreds of years. We wake up 4:30 a.m., climb a huge fucking mountain. 6:30 a.m., we eat a fucking yak, and then we climb another sick fucking mountain. Our buys shredded. Tries shredded. I broke a watermelon in half yesterday with my lats, bro. Our air fucking sucks, and we're still banging out 5-minute hill miles on the reg.
So can I pencil you in?
Absolutely. Tell all those other athletes to leave their dicks at home. Any dick we see is getting fucking snatched.
And with that, the lineup for the 1944 Neutral Olympics was set.
The full list of participants was as follows: Ireland, Yemen, Turkey, Bhutan, Tibet, Afghanistan, Chile, the Vatican, San Marino, and Switzerland.
There was obviously several pressing economic, political, and geographical issues that needed to be solved before they could move forward. Troy Helenov knew that the only way to figure any of this out was to get everybody in the same room.
This would be tough to pull off. Every square inch of the planet's surface, including the water, was basically on fire. So they needed to go lower.
A submarine is the perfect tool for clandestine activities. They're stealthy, fast, and can go 1,000,000 feet underwater. Unfortunately, pretty much every single one in the world was being used, with the war and all.
But it just so happened that the Swiss had one that had been used quite a lot over the last few years.
Hello and welcome to the orientation for my submarine. This submarine is a world of wonders and enchantment. But do not touch anything, or we will all die.
Dr. Lane Wiltshambra was an eccentric millionaire scientist who had commandeered an old Austro-Hungarian U-boat and turned it into his laboratory / Willy Wonka's chocolate factory.
Okay, quick rundown of space. Here is periscope. Look through scope what you see. Ocean? No. Illustration, little boy getting cut in half by train. It's the funniest image, like drugs for the Swiss mind. Next, we have sleeping compartments. I have had no company for the last 17 months, so I have adapted these to become art installation. I have placed mirrors with colored gels in over each mattress. Now you can see what you look like when you are blue, red, green, purple. And this one I designed to show what it would look like if Krampus was standing right behind you.
The minutes of the submarine meeting were recorded onto vinyl for posterity.
Okay, Ireland is here. Who else? Yes, Chile?
Yes, here. I am Oeve Dirties, President of Chile.
Wonderful. And who is representing the Vatican?
Presente.
Here!
Right here.
The Vatican had sent 3 representatives: Swiss Guard member Aripi Avici from Italy, Cardinal Piotr Zizizizi from Poland, and Cardinal Fug Shugley from Erath, Louisiana.
And the last name on the list definitely made us sit up and pay attention. And finally, Argentina.
Hey, what's up, guys? I'm Javier von Ribbentrop Heinrich Germany, but y'all can call me Javi. I'm so stoked that you guys were nice enough to include us. I have a feeling we're all gonna be the absolute best of friends.
Oh, hey, man.
Yeah, I can't wait to hang out, I guess.
Hello, sir. You actually look a lot like you're from Bhutan. We're the original Aryans. Are you Aryan too?
Yes, what? No, bro, I'm straight Argentinian. I've just been chilling inside a lot, so I haven't been able to work on my time. Haha. So about this neutral thing, we are super neutral. Could not be more neutral. We don't even know who is fighting. Who is it? Mars? For real, we fit the requirements. You guys know us. We're cool. I think we could bring some really awesome energy to this whole shindig.
Hey, Argentina, could you give us a sec?
Yeah, just wait outside for a tick, no sweat.
Yeah, absolutely.
We don't ever want to mess around with the past too much, but...
We told the room about certain things that certain Argentinians did after certain wars and certain harborings and puppet governments.
So... yeah, there's a lot more, but that's the gist.
I knew it.
It was obvious.
They're always coming down to the Vatican acting like we're best friends and we barely know each other.
A fucking Argentina.
They're always trying to borrow gold items from the Basilica as soon as they get here.
One time they sent us a telegram, and before it even got there, they sent 2 more telegrams asking why we hadn't responded to the first one.
So Argentina was out, and everyone else was in.
The next order of business was the biggest. Where were the 1944 Olympics going to take place?
Obviously, a large portion of the world was quite literally occupied at this point, so the Olympic Committee had to get creative.
We could do it on the submarine.
What?
Yes, the submarine is so full of life and playful energy. We could do every event here, except for the high jump.
Again, for the 4th time, we do not need to say everything that crosses our mind.
We could build a giant playground on the moon.
Let's just let some of the other countries give their thoughts, Dr. Wiltshambra.
We could build a floating activity zone on the international date line.
What are we doing in Germany? Oh, sorry, I forgot. What am I even saying?
The meeting went on like this for another hour. Ray Quassa from Portugal proposed North Sentinel Island, the uncontacted island where the tribe kills anyone that comes there, which he thought could be solved if everyone painted themselves red and put buckets on their backs, so the indigenous people would think that a bunch of crabs got washed up on shore and they were just doing crab Olympics.
Colin Mockery proposed having it in Belfast by invading them. The Tibetan monks proposed the North Pole because they had an in with Santa. And the Vatican proposed the South Pole because they had an in with evil Santa.
Someone disguised as an octopus in scuba gear came up to the window and through the muffled glass said they should do it in Argentina.
We don't give a fuck where it is. We're kicking all your asses. We're gonna be hanging brain and bringing the rain.
Look, does anyone have access to a large area of land that is sparsely populated, relatively flat, and far away from the fighting? Oh, avid Dirties, why are you silent but otherwise coughing? Do you have a frog in your throat? Or a secret? Or perhaps the frog has the secrets? What secrets lay within the mind of the secret frog? Does the secret frog want to come out and play? I have a delicious fly he might like. For a price, one secret. What say you, secret frog?
I'm trying to say it. Fuck. We have a place. The war is far away because everything is far away. It's Easter Island.
Easter Island? The frog meets the bunny.
Oh, I forgot to mention, talking cryptically is a symptom of the bends, which means you are dying and we need to urgently resurface.
The island of Rapa Nui, or Easter Island, sits 2,000 miles off the coast of Chile. The Pitcairn Islands, the nearest inhabited lands, are over 1,000 miles away. It's a land shrouded in mystery, and it remained completely undiscovered by the Europeans until the late 1700s. It is an ominous, foreboding, and lonesome place with a dark colonial history, all watched over by the famous, unblinking stone monoliths, the Moai.
And it was going to host the 1944 Olympics.
After the meeting adjourned, the submarine dropped off all the ambassadors at their home country, which took forever.
Getting the Afghanistan delegation home was a nightmare.
But eventually they made their way over to Chile to drop off the Chilean ambassador, and Troy Helenov set out into the South Pacific to scout out Easter Island.
500 or 600 miles off the coast of Valparaiso, a small passenger submarine with a handful of Chilean fishermen met the submarine, the SS Sleepy Crawler, on the road.
I asked the Chilean captain if we were on the right road to Easter Island, and he said, I might butcher my impersonation of him,
Oh, Easter Island, oh yeah, you don't want to go down that road, oh absolutely. There's no danger there, no necromancer, no bad times to be had on Easter Island, no sir, no necromancer. Peachy keen place to stay.
And did you believe him?
Of course I did, why would he lie?
And the submarine motored off to Easter Island, completely unaware of what awaited the Olympians.
A minute later, the Chilean passenger submarine saw another submarine following the first.
This submarine did not stop to chat. It pressed on. And on its side, in not at all hidden and pretty big typeface, were the letters OSS.